Dr. Maya Chin sat motionless behind the wheel of her Honda, hands positioned at 10 and 2, engine silent. She'd arrived at Westbrook Middle School's visitor lot precisely 9 minutes earlier. The dashboard display showed 2:47 p.m., early for the 3 o'clock pickup she maintained every Thursday for 7 months. Through the windshield, her authorization hung clearly visible, a laminated card dangling from a rear-view mirror issued by the administrative office 20 minutes prior. White cardstock with green trim, the school's emblem centered at top. Visitor parking authorization dated November 8th, signed by the registrar. Purpose listed as student pickup for her nephew, Marcus Chun, 6th grade. Every detail accurate. Officer Derek Wallace approached with deliberate steps, his right hand hovering near his duty belt. His partner, a younger woman with uncertain eyes, remained positioned near their patrol vehicle, blocking Maya's exit route. Maya maintained her composed posture, a habit developed through years of professional discipline. "Officer, is there an issue?" "I'm legally parked with valid authorization," Maya said evenly. Wallace leaned down, one palm pressing against her door. "This area is designated for registered parents. I'm authorized to collect my nephew. The permit was issued less than 30 minutes ago by your administrative staff. Documentation doesn't guarantee you belong here." The words carried unmistakable weight, not policy, but territorial declaration. Behind Wallace, Assistant Principal Robert Sterling emerged from the building's main entrance. He scanned the lot until locating Maya's vehicle, then adjusted his tie and crossed toward them with purposeful strides. Maya's breathing remained controlled. 18 years in her profession had taught her to recognize approaching trouble before it fully materialized. Sterling's trajectory, Wallace's aggressive positioning, the way other parents, predominantly white, predominantly comfortable, slowed their approach, phones already rising to record. She reached slowly toward her glove compartment for registration documents. Wallace's hand moved toward his weapon. The parking lot fell silent. 7 months earlier, Maya had promised her sister an unwavering commitment. Thursday afternoons, 2:45 pickup, without exception. Lisa worked rotating shifts at Metropolitan Hospital, emergency medicine that respected neither schedules nor family obligations. Marcus needed reliable pickup when classes ended. Maya had rearranged her entire professional calendar, blocking those hours permanently because family required that dedication. The pattern began immediately. During the first week, Security Supervisor Anderson had intercepted her before she'd turned off the engine. "Can I help you?" His tone suggesting she required escort off premises. "Collecting my nephew," Maya gestured to Marcus in the back seat. "Got authorization?" She'd indicated the fresh permit hanging from her mirror. Anderson examined it like suspected forgery. Behind them, 3 white parents drove past unchallenged. One waved. Anderson waved back. "Park in the rear section. Front spaces are for regulars." The rear section meant Marcus walking farther. But Maya complied silently, aware of eyes tracking their progress. It repeated weekly, then intensified. By November, being stopped had become routine. Anderson requesting her credentials despite seeing her twice that week, reminding her about inferior parking locations, watching her escort Marcus like she might suddenly deviate toward unauthorized areas. The parent conference in September had proven worse. Mr. Harrison, Marcus's homeroom instructor, had seemed surprised when Maya introduced herself during their scheduled appointment. "Oh, you're the aunt?" "Yes. My sister asked me to attend. She was called into emergency surgery." Harrison had glanced at his notes. "Are you regularly involved in Marcus's education, or is this temporary?" Maya's jaw had tightened. "I assist with homework 4 evenings weekly. I attend school functions. I'm listed on his emergency contacts. Yes, I'm involved. We prefer primary guardians for academic discussions. Continuity concerns, you understand. I understand my sister is currently saving someone's life, and I'm here asking about Marcus's science grades. Shall we proceed?" They'd proceeded, barely. Harrison addressed most comments to the empty chair beside Maya, as though Lisa might materialize. 2 weeks later, a memo circulated requiring all pickup authorizations be re-verified with administrative offices. Maya had complied fully. She'd completed forms, provided identification, listed relationships, everything requested. The scrutiny hadn't diminished. Last month at the pharmacy, security had followed her while she shopped for Marcus's birthday gift. Young employee, radio clipped to his belt, pretending to organize merchandise while keeping her in peripheral vision. He'd remained 10 feet behind throughout her shopping, positioning himself near the exit as she checked out, watching, waiting. Maya had paid, collected her receipt, and departed without acknowledgement, because acknowledging meant having conversations she'd endured countless times before, and exhaustion had set in. Not physical exhaustion, the deeper kind, from being constantly monitored, from having every action interpreted as suspicious, from knowing her competence. Her calm adherence to every regulation meant nothing when people had predetermined who she was. November 8th began like any Thursday. Maya reviewed case files over morning coffee, made Marcus's lunch, drove him to school, where Anderson stopped her at the entrance. Same questions, same scrutiny, same parking directives. At 2:30 p.m., she departed her office, a significant position with considerable responsibility, though she kept specifics vague during booking. She changed into casual attire. Comfortable jeans, simple blazer, minimal jewelry. Nothing attracting attention. She arrived at 2:38, early. Always. Being late invited mistakes. The visitor lot was half occupied. Maya pulled into Space 7. Front row, clearly marked visitor parking. She turned off the engine and waited, reviewing messages on her phone. At 2:47, she walked to the administrative office. The registrar, elderly Mrs. Patterson, smiled when Maya approached. Here for Marcus? Yes, ma'am. Patterson filled the visitor authorization automatically, routine established through months of repetition. She signed and slid it across the counter. He mentioned you're taking him for pizza. Maya smiled. If his homework's completed first. She returned to her vehicle, hung the authorization from her mirror, and settled in. Dismissal officially began at 3 o'clock. Other parents arrived, filling surrounding spaces. A woman in a luxury sedan waved at Assistant Principal Sterling. A man in a truck called greetings to Mr. Harrison. Parents who belonged, who weren't questioned. At 2:54, Maya noticed a patrol vehicle. It entered from a northern access, moving slowly. Officers inside scanning parked cars systematically. Maya observed them via her side mirror, familiar unease settling in her chest. The cruiser stopped 50 feet behind her position. Both officers emerged. Maya's hands remained steady on the wheel at 10 and 2, visible, controlled. She watched Wallace speak into his radio. His partner glanced uncertainly between Wallace and Maya's vehicle. Maya took a measured breath. Here it begins again. Wallace reached her window within seconds. Ma'am, exit that vehicle immediately. Maya kept her hands visible. Officer, I'm legally parked in designated visitor space. What's the specific concern? License and registration. Now! The demand came without explanation. No greeting, no stated probable cause, just expectation of immediate compliance. Maya reached slowly toward her console. I'm retrieving registration from the glove compartment. My license is in my purse on the passenger seat. She produced registration first. Current, her name clearly printed, then reached for her purse. My license is in the side pocket. I'm reaching for it now. Slowly, Wallace commanded. Maya handed both documents through the window. Wallace examined them with exaggerated thoroughness, finding nothing wrong, nothing justifying his presence. What's your business at the school? Collecting my nephew Marcus Chun's 6th grade. Maya gestured toward the authorization. I have a valid permit issued by administrative staff 30 minutes ago. Wallace's eyes flicked to the authorization, but didn't linger. Complaints about unauthorized vehicles. Need verification you have legitimate reason for presence here. I've just shown verification. The permit lists all required information. Everything is properly documented. Doesn't prove you're authorized. Behind Wallace, Assistant Principal Sterling crossed the lot with determined strides, having observed from the entrance. Officer Wallace. Sterling's smile was tight. Appreciate your rapid response. Maya's eyes narrowed. I wasn't aware anyone had summoned police. Sterling turned with practiced concern. We've experienced issues this semester with unauthorized pickups. Protocol requires verification of anyone we don't immediately recognize. The statement was carefully constructed, but Maya had collected Marcus for 7 months. Recognition wasn't the issue. I'm on Marcus's authorized pickup list, Maya said evenly. I've collected him every Thursday since April. You can verify through attendance records. Sterling consulted his clipboard. I'll need identification. Maya had already provided ID to Wallace. Now she was being asked again, another hoop. She handed her license to Sterling, who studied it with theatrical thoroughness. Everything matched. This shows you reside at the same address as the child's mother, Sterling observed. However, our records indicate only Mrs. Lisa Chun and Mr. David Chin are authorized for pickup. That's incorrect. Maya's voice remained steady. I was added in September. If your records don't reflect that, it's administrative error on your end. Wallace's partner, Officer Kim Santos, spoke tentatively. The permit indicates authorization. Mrs. Patterson wouldn't have issued it otherwise. Wallace shot her a look. Stand down, Santos. Sterling's expression tightened. Mrs. Patterson may not have verified thoroughly. We need direct confirmation from Mrs. Chan before permitting pickup. Lisa is in surgery. She's unreachable for approximately 5 hours. Marcus expects me, as he is every Thursday. Perhaps you should have coordinated more carefully. Sterling's tone gained an edge. Maya felt familiar heat rising. Other parents had slowed, sensing drama. Several had phones out, recording. Maya straightened. Am I being detained, or am I free to leave? The question was deliberate, precise, language born from knowing how these situations should function legally. Wallace's expression hardened. You're trespassing. Leave voluntarily, or face removal. On what grounds? I have written authorization. I provided identification. This constitutes unlawful detention. The term unlawful hung in the air. Not unfair, not wrong. Unlawful, specific legal meaning. Santos shifted uncomfortably. Derek, maybe we should. I've got this, Wallace snapped. Sterling stepped closer. Miss Chun, until we confirm authorization directly with Mrs. Chun, you must vacate school property. Lisa provided consent in writing. Your staff issued authorization. You cannot retroactively revoke access. We're simply requesting your return when we can verify. Sterling's voice remained professionally pleasant. Wallace leaned in. Ma'am, step out of the vehicle. Hands visible. Maya reached for her phone. I'm documenting this interaction. She activated voice recording, placing the phone on her dashboard. Red indicator pulsing, timestamp running. Wallace's face flushed. Turn that off. I have the right to record public officials performing duties. This parking lot constitutes public space. Recording is legal. Carefully chosen words. Simply stating facts. I said turn it off. Wallace reached through the window toward the phone. Maya pulled the phone toward her chest. The movement was defensive. Her arm brushed his hand. Barely contact, but Wallace recoiled as if struck. Did you just hit an officer? That's assault. Maya's eyes widened. I made no aggressive contact. You reached into my vehicle. I withdrew my property. Multiple witnesses can confirm. But Wallace had already keyed his radio. Dispatch, Unit 17. Code situation at Westbrook Middle. Subject refusing compliance. Possible disturbance and battery. Requesting backup. More parents gathered, forming a semicircle. Some looked concerned. Several recorded. A woman in athletic wear, Jennifer Martinez, pushed forward. Robert, what's happening? I know this woman. She collects Marcus constantly. Sterling turned, his mask slipping. Mrs. Martinez, unless you have relevant information, step back. I do have relevant information. Jennifer gestured at Maya. She has authorization. She's here every Thursday. This is absurd. Wallace stepped toward Jennifer. Ma'am, interfering will result in obstruction citations. Step back. Jennifer retreated, but her phone remained raised, recording. In the distance, sirens approached. The dismissal bell rang. Children poured outside, a tide of small bodies and high voices. Maya's chest tightened. Somewhere in that crowd was Marcus. My nephew is about to emerge. Can we relocate somewhere less visible? Maya asked. Wallace's expression didn't change. Procedure requires on-site documentation completion. Then it happened. Marcus appeared from the side entrance, blue backpack bouncing. He scanned for Maya's car. His eyes found the patrol vehicles first. Then Maya, hands raised, officers surrounding her. Marcus's face crumbled. He dropped his backpack and ran. Aunt Maya. His voice carried high and terrified. What are they doing? A teacher moved to intercept. But Marcus was fast. He dodged between parents, heading for Maya. Santos stepped into his path, arms outstretched. Son, you need to stay back. That's my aunt. They're hurting her. Maya's voice cut through chaos. Marcus, sweetheart, I'm okay. This is a misunderstanding. Go back to Ms. Rodriguez. No. Marcus's sobs grew louder. I want to go home with you. You promised. The anguish in her nephew's voice cracked something in Maya's composure. Her hands started lowering to reach for Marcus, but Wallace barked immediately. Hands up. Keep your hands where I can see them. Maya forced her hands back up. Marcus, please. Go with Ms. Rodriguez. I'll call your mom. Ms. Rodriguez caught up, gently taking Marcus by the shoulders. Come on, Marcus. We'll call your mom together. Marcus fought her grip. They can't take her. She didn't do anything wrong. The crowd's energy shifted. What had been curiosity now carried discomfort. Several parents exchanged glances. Watching an 11-year-old break down made the abstract concrete. Jennifer spoke again, louder. Officer, you're traumatizing this child. Is this necessary? Wallace didn't look at her. Maybe the aunt should have considered that before assaulting an officer. The lie, stated with casual confidence, hung in the air. 3 days later, Maya sat in the courthouse waiting area, wearing the same blazer she'd been arrested in. Her attorney, Daniel Park from the public defender's office, reviewed notes one final time. The motion to dismiss hearing starts in 8 minutes. Judge Thompson will preside. She's fair but follows procedures strictly. Maya nodded. She knew Margaret Thompson, had worked alongside her for 12 years before Thompson transferred to criminal court. But Park didn't need to know that yet. The courtroom doors opened. They entered together, Maya's heels clicking against marble floors. Officer Wallace sat in the gallery, arms crossed. Beside him, Sergeant Martinez whispered something that made him scowl. Assistant Principal Sterling had claimed scheduling conflicts. Conspicuously absent, the prosecutor was a junior assistant district attorney named Kevin Brooks. Fresh from law school, probably handled this case as routine work. He shuffled papers nervously as they approached the defense table. All rise, the bailiff announced. The Honorable Judge Margaret Thompson presiding. Thompson entered from chambers, late 50s, silver hair, sharp eyes missing nothing. She settled behind the bench and reviewed the file. Case number 24, CR 9156, People v. Maya Chun. Motion to dismiss file by defense. Mr. Brooks, proceed. Brooks stood. Your Honor, the people opposed dismissal. The defendant was arrested following legitimate trespassing, complaint from school administration, and assault on Officer Derek Wallace. While defense raises procedural questions, underlying conduct justifies prosecution. Thompson made a note. Mr. Park? Park stood, projecting confidence. Your Honor, this case should never have been filed. The so-called trespassing occurred while my client had valid authorization documented in writing. The alleged assault is contradicted by body camera footage showing Officer Wallace initiating physical contact. He approached the bench with a USB drive. I prepared compilation of relevant evidence, body camera footage, witness statements, dispatch logs showing timeline inconsistencies. Thompson accepted the drive, handing it to her clerk. We'll review. But first, questions for prosecution. Mr. Brooks, the charging documents list defendant as Maya Chun, occupation, public service. Can you be more specific about her employment? Brooks consulted his file. The arresting officers reported she works for the county, Your Honor. No additional details provided. The county has many departments. Which one? I don't have that information, Brooks admitted. Booking report lists public service, without specification. Thompson turned her attention to Maya. Ms. Chun, perhaps you can clarify for court. What is your specific position with the county? This was it, the moment Maya had been waiting for. She stood slowly, meeting Thompson's eyes. Your Honor, I serve as a district court judge of the Fifth Circuit. The courtroom went dead silent. Brooks's papers slipped from his hands, scattering across the prosecution table. Wallace half rose from his seat, face draining of color. Martinez grabbed his arm, pulling him back down. Park turned to look at Maya, his expression caught between shock and vindication. He'd suspected something, but not this. Thompson's face remained neutral, but her knuckles whitened as she gripped her pen. Judge Maya Chun, Fifth Circuit District Court. Yes, Your Honor. I've served in that capacity for 18 years. Brooks found his voice, though it cracked. Your Honor, the booking report made no mention. The defendant never identified herself as. I identified myself as a county employee in public service, Maya interrupted, which is accurate. I also provided my driver's license, which lists my full legal name. It's not my responsibility to ensure arresting officers conduct adequate background checks before filing charges. Thompson set down her pen with deliberate care. Mr. Brooks, approach the bench. Mr. Park, you as well. The three conferred in whispers for nearly a minute. Maya remained standing, aware of every eye on her. Wallace looked like he might be sick. Thompson returned to her microphone. The court will take a 15-minute recess while I review submitted evidence. Bailiff, ensure all parties remain available. She stood and exited quickly. The moment she disappeared, chaos erupted. Brooks rushed from the courtroom, phone already at his ear, probably calling his supervisor to explain how he just prosecuted a sitting judge for crimes she didn't commit. When Thompson returned 25 minutes later, her expression was grave. I have reviewed the body camera footage, dispatch logs, and preliminary witness statements. Mr. Brooks, does the prosecution wish to proceed with these charges? Brooks stood on shaky legs. Your Honor, in light of new information, the people request time to reassess our position. New information? Thompson's voice carried steel. Judge Chen's identity doesn't change the facts. Either she committed trespassing and battery, or she didn't. Does the body camera footage support the battery allegation? The footage shows contact between the defendant and Officer Wallace, but characterization of that contact is subject to interpretation. Mr. Brooks, Thompson's voice hardened. I've watched the footage 5 times. Officer Wallace reached into Judge Chen's vehicle. She withdrew her property. At no point did she strike, push, or make aggressive contact with him. There is no interpretation. There is only what the camera recorded. She looked directly at Wallace. Officer Wallace, stand. Wallace rose slowly, his uniform suddenly seeming too tight. Did you know Judge Chen's identity when you arrested her? No, ma'am. She never. Did you ask for identification? I took her license. Did you run a background check beyond criminal warrants? Wallace hesitated. Standard procedure is to check for warrants and... Answer the question. Yes or no? No, Your Honor. I did not run a full background check. Thompson made a note. Officer Wallace, you arrested a district court judge on false charges in front of witnesses, including a traumatized child. You filed a report that body camera footage directly contradicts. You confiscated her property without probable cause. And you did all of this without basic due diligence. The words hung in the air like an indictment. Mr. Brooks, the prosecution has 30 seconds to decide whether to proceed or withdraw these charges. Brooks looked at Maya, then at Wallace, then at the evidence file. The people moved to dismiss all charges, Your Honor, with prejudice. Thompson's gavel came down. Motion granted. All charges against Judge Maya Chun are dismissed with prejudice. The defendant is free to go. She paused. I'm also referring this matter to the Attorney General's office for investigation into potential civil rights violations abuse of process, and filing of false reports. This court stands in recess. The gavel struck again. Final. Absolute. Outside, media had gathered. News crews, reporters, cameras forming a gauntlet. Maya approached the microphones alone. "My name is Maya Chun. I'm a district court judge," she began. 3 weeks ago, I was arrested picking up my 11-year-old nephew, handcuffed, charged with crimes I didn't commit, because I filed a discrimination complaint. Today, those charges were dismissed, and investigations have begun into systemic abuses at that school. She paused. But this isn't just about me. It's about systematic discrimination disguised as security, about using law enforcement to punish people for being Asian, black, or brown in spaces where others decided we don't belong. Her voice strengthened. I'm a judge. I have resources, knowledge, connections. Most victims don't. They take plea deals because they can't afford to fight. That stops now. Maya stepped back from the microphones. Her attorney and an internal affairs detective flanked her toward a waiting car. In the car, Maya leaned back, closing her eyes. 3 weeks ago, handcuffed in a parking lot. Now, federal investigations launched, charges dismissed, truth exposed. One case, Maya murmured. Look what happened. Because you documented everything, Park said. Because you refused to be intimidated. Maya opened her eyes, watching the city pass. Somewhere, Marcus was at school. Somewhere, Lisa was saving lives. Somewhere, other families navigated systems designed to exclude them. The work isn't done, Maya said quietly. No, the detective agreed. But it started. The car pulled up to the courthouse. Her chambers waited. Case files, motions, the daily business of justice that couldn't stop. She stepped out, straightening her blazer. Tomorrow she'd be back on the bench. Today, she'd watch the system finally begin to work. Not perfectly, not completely, but enough. For now, that was enough.